Hi guys, it's been quite a while since I've done a video. I've been quite busy with work and faith to faithless type stuff. But I've been thinking about something that's around converts and ex-converts for quite a while. And so I think it's time I did a video like this. It's a bit of a PSA and a conversation about how ex-Muslims deal with converts and converts who leave Islam. Now, the stereotypes that people face who are ex-converts, people who leave Islam and who initially converted to it, they range from all sorts. They are things like, oh, you're stupid, how could you possibly have converted to Islam? And they also include things like erasing their experiences, where people say, it's not as hard for you, or stop complaining, look at my life, it's much worse. And I think we have to be really, really careful when we talk to other ex-Muslims, including and especially ex-converts, about not erasing their experiences. Things like this are not a miswak size contest. I just said that. It's very embarrassing and I'm gonna have to just shut up. So I've actually spoken to some of my ex-convert friends and figured out sort of 4 main reasons why people convert to Islam, just to help you out understanding what they go through. And one of them is, people who, for whatever reason, had a very theological inclination with Islam. So they studied it often for years and years and years. Sometimes they even go to university to study Islamic theology. And, it's something that they made a choice for when they joined Islam. And they might not have understood how hard it is to leave, but they went in with, this awareness about the theology. The second reason can be where someone marries into like a Muslim family. So they might, it's often women actually in this case, and they'll marry a Muslim man, and in order to be accepted by the family, they convert to Islam. And often they don't realize, again, what a lot of the baggage that comes with being a Muslim is, if you're joining a Muslim family and you've converted, and how hard it can be to leave. The third example and type, I would say, is people who had a very difficult upbringing. They might have had lots of mental health problems, lots of trauma, abuse, things like that. And Islam, for them, gave a sense of safety. And whether it's something that they thought would happen or whether it's something that they were groomed to be told that it would happen, a lot of preacher types really draw on these people and they sell them the story about what Islam will give them. And that's sort of the third. And I'd say the fourth is people who grew up with lots of Muslims, very involved in a local community aspect, and they're just surrounded by Muslims. And it was like a natural progression to become Muslim. And again, they are often people who don't really understand how hard it is to leave it. And that's not their fault. Even ex-Muslims born into the religion don't often know how hard it is to leave Islam. Now, one thing you have to understand is when a convert becomes Muslim, they often can lose their family and friends, their non-Muslim family and friends. And then they have this Muslim community that doesn't always fully accept them. And then imagine they leave again, so they've lost their family and friends already. They've joined the Muslim community that's kind of, they're half accepted in. And then suddenly when they leave, they've lost everyone again. So can you imagine the instability that they face? And, I asked a friend of mine, and I'll read the quote out, to just explain to me what she thinks ex-Muslims think and what the reaction has been to her and her ex-convert friends from ex-Muslims. And she said, I think that they, ex-Muslims, often think that we all had these amazing lives, and yet most of the girls that I've dealt with, that's my friend, she's dealt with a lot of ex-converts, were in abusive relationships with Muslim men, or they experienced sexual abuse and assault. And in terms of the men, male ex-converts, they were often treated like spies by the Muslims or by ex-Muslims, and they're often the stereotype that they fetishize brown women, which is of course not always true. Now look, we all have biases and we all have things like this, and it's important that we talk about these kind of things. Now, we as ex-Muslims, we know more than anyone how it is to feel like when someone erases your story. We get told all the time, oh, you left Islam because you wanted to drink and have sex and whatever it is, or oh, you didn't really believe in Islam, or whatever it is, or oh, you came from a really shit family, right? And the thing is, it's very important that when we talk to other people who are ex-Muslim, we do try to just accept their story as is and understand it. So what can we do better? I think one of the first is, and this applies to any other person, whenever you interact with someone else, it's really important to listen. Like really, really listen. It's a very, very useful skill, and it takes a lot of time to learn. Listen to them. If you have nothing positive to say about something they've said, it's better not to say anything, right? It will go a very far way in life if you just don't say something when it comes to someone's experience. The second thing is, I think we can look out for people who are ex-converts, who converted and then left, and really hold out our hand and really like try to include them if we can, and reach out to them, because they often are going through something very different to us, and it can be worse. And it's important to kind of reach out and be like, hey, I'm here to listen, I'm here to talk to if you want anyone to talk to, things like that. The third thing I think that we can do is, when you notice that one of us is saying something about converts, shutting them down, things like that, the convert might feel sometimes unable to say anything, or they just want to run away, which makes a lot of sense, right? Because it's scary. And it's important that we can talk to each other, born ex-Muslims, can talk to other born ex-Muslims and be like, hey, leave it. Why don't we ask them what they went through, rather than just shitting on them all the time. I know this is a bit of a heavy topic and it's going to be very controversial, but hey, we've got to talk about these kind of things. And this is how we make sure that for the next 10 years, for the next 100 years, when people leave Islam, they have a safe community or communities to go to where they feel like they can be heard, when they won't feel like ostracized for anything, because that's what we go through, right? So we don't want to do that to each other. Anyways, if you like this, subscribe below. I know not everyone can subscribe because you're in the closet, but hey, I'm going to put out videos more often now. And as always, if you want a place to go to, there's a subreddit called r/ex-Muslim. Check it out. It's a really, really lovely place in terms of like people expressing their stories when they can't always do it in public. Okay, so for now, bye bye.